This blows my mind, but Sarah and I are the age my parents were when we started our final year of high school. But when I try to go back and think about what they were doing and all the things I faulted them for and all of the missteps that they made, and then I apply it to right now, I fuck up all the time. I'm like a mess, you know? Like everything's a disaster. Imagine right now I'm like, oh, my twins are here. My 17-year-olds are gonna come in. I mean, can you imagine?
We wrote this song in 1996. It was one of the first songs we ever wrote in high school. We had just found a guitar and we were experimenting with songwriting, and we would very often write a song and then quickly record it. And so we actually have one of the early recordings of this song. And when we were writing our memoir and sort of digging through our archives, we were able to unearth the demo, and we thought the song was amazing, and we decided to rework it for our new album. The things I've almost told you, all the things I've thought about you. It takes all my strength to face you, to hold still. For me, that was like a great first line because it allowed us to capture that anxiety that we all feel when we're just on the cusp of trying to say something about ourselves, reveal something about ourselves. And we were lying to our parents about, like, we were sneaking out, we were taking drugs. We obviously both were struggling with our sexuality. And so there was a lot of secret keeping during that time. That remains hard in adulthood, but perhaps is, you know, hardest when you're an adolescent because you just have this like crazy crush of like emotion and hormones and fear. And when you give me your attention, things get lost in translation. Again, tell you I don't love you at all, but I do love you. A lot of the notes that I wrote in high school, I talk about love all the time, and not like this kind of like presumed like teenage girl love, like this idea that it's like hearts and bubbly cursive, and like I hate when teenage girls are represented that way in television and film, like where they take their name and the boy they like's last name. Like who does that? Like I didn't do that, and I never did that. I didn't know people who did that. For me, that whole first verse is about whether it's your disconnect from yourself, from someone you like, from your family. I just really wanted to paint this picture of feeling isolated and misunderstood. I don't wanna be a liar, but I do it every day. When I finally found this cassette tape with these 15 or so songs on it, this was one of the first songs that came on. For weeks afterwards, I would sing it in the house, and my girlfriend was like, please stop singing. That is so irritating. But it just was always in my head. So that is a direct pull from the demo. I don't wanna be so tired, but I can't sleep anyway. What was keeping me up was, well, literally was LSD, because would keep me up for 12 to 15 hours after I took a hit. But I think that what was keeping me up was the idea that even at 15 years old, people were talking about their future in this context that bothered me. I hated the idea that there was already this preordained process that I was going to have to go through. I was going to graduate, I was going to go to college, I was going to get married, I was going to have children. That was the dream. That was the middle class dream. And I sort of had a guilt about the fact that I didn't really want that. I didn't believe in it, and I didn't think it was for me. Don't believe the things they tell you, they lie. Don't believe the things they tell you, no. The thing my mother told me was that everyone would love me, but in the dark I feel so lonely. I'm numb. Sarah and I had kind of really become estranged, and our relationship was just really disconnected. And part of it was Sarah was having a really close relationship with someone we had sort of been both close with, and I didn't understand. I'd sort of been kind of blocked out of the relationship. We still all hung out, but like at the sleepovers, they would share a room and I would kind of get relegated to the guest bedroom, if you will. And I think there was I didn't understand initially that they were hooking up. Sarah and I would fight all the time in front of this best friend, but my mom was constantly like, what is wrong with you guys? What is up? And one night in particular, I just remember losing it. And I ended up back in my bedroom with my mom trying to console me, just like rivers of snot coming out of my face, like eyes swelled shut, you know, doing that like, like that, you know, gulping hysterical cry. And she was just like, you know, you're gonna be fine. You're funny, you're cool, everybody loves you. And I just couldn't have seen myself as more different than that. She said it with so much conviction, but I feel like something's missing again. Oh, I don't love me at all. I don't love me. I know that what made those conversations not completely connect or like glue for me, when my mom would say like, I would love you no matter what. Like, if you're into girls, that's fine. You can tell me. I didn't believe her. And I'm not even saying that it was because I didn't believe my mom would love me, but everything in my world told me the opposite. It was like illegal for gay people to do anything. You couldn't get married, you couldn't adopt children, you didn't have the same rights as straight people. And not because I had made a choice, not because I didn't go to math class, not because I was taking LSD, but because of something so deeply intrinsic and like I was born with it. I think everyone gets to that place where you know your parents are lying to you to make things easier. And that was the age where that split happens, where you're like, don't even lie to me. I know it's going to be bad. I know it's bad. How can you be mad at the institution of marriage? How can you be mad at the government when you're 15 years old? So the easiest person to be mad at is the person who is lying to your face that day, that moment, that second. The person that used to be able to make everything okay for you that can't anymore. That sort of is embodied in that, you know, I don't love me. Like, I don't love me. How can I love me? I'm a liar. No one believes me. I'm a liar. No one believes me.
I think that there is a point in your life where you have to acknowledge that even if you dislike every system in our society, that you are contributing by participating in the system. And if you don't like it, then disrupt it. And I think that there is something about owning that you are also a liar. Parts of yourself are false, and parts of what you are projecting to the world is false. And admitting that in the song feels really important. We're all accountable to someone or something, starting with ourselves.
Don't believe the things they tell you. Don't believe the things they tell you. Don't believe the things I tell you I lie. Don't believe the things I tell you no. There's a lot of tension that I found in the original demo. Like, there's so much tension and there's not a release of that tension. I think it actually sort of like adds a nice element to the final chorus, because then it's sort of like all that energy, all that built up angst or whatever is allowed to sort of like, you know, dispel, I guess, a bit. And listen, I love a instrumental chorus, but like kids these days, they gotta sing along. Remember back in the 80s, like everyone like got like it was a real payoff to like air guitar? Bringing it back.
Lost in translation was also a phrase that we really labored over, because we were like, we never have said that at 16 years old. And there's one other place on the record where we use the word closure, like I wish I had closure, and we're like, no kid in the 90s would have said that.